Also, can you also share the projects you worked on at Qubole?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Uh, so so majorly, so when I was getting, like hired and stuff,
Yeah.
we uh, so at that point of time, when the conversation went ahead and he started explaining like what exactly that we are looking for, right?
Right.
So he was like, we needed a library kind of thing. And back in my head, it was about like, okay, maybe he's talking about something like Bootstrap or, a repeated component library and stuff. We didn't discuss it as a design system thing or something like that at that point of time. This is a
Right.
conversation when we were at 2017,
Yeah.
right? And when I was getting hired, it was just about talking key. There should be a component library
Right.
which serves the purpose of a system, and a system in the sense that the whole company uses this whole stuff, like uses the same thing, and bring up a process in the way we build the product,
Right.
right? So like the major product, and ideally uh, which I talked a lot about, is the Qubole design system that I actually did uh, in my tenure of internship. Like in internship, I was making the base of it, and then after that, when I was into the product design role, I actually used this base and evolved it in a state where the three pillars of the company was using this. The three pillars were:
Yeah.
one, the product team, the engineering team, and also was the marketing team, right? So how do we like scale? Probably we would have not like gone to a scale for these three pillars, but at least the product team and the engineering team was there, right?
Right.
It was about the vision that we saw. Ki, how does this design system and what does this design system solve, right? So uh, you know what? So the thing. So with probably I'll show you. Okay. So these are like a couple of articles there where I have shared like as part one, part two, and part three, where
Right.
I've shared exactly what are the steps that we took, right? So in part one, we ideally talk about what is the thing that was going at that
Yeah.
point of time with the UI, right? And this was a pretty old, like this was like around 2 years back when I was getting hired. At that point of time, the UI looked something like this,
Right.
and and there was this, and there were like so many teams divided, and they were actually working on individual products. Now, as designers, we wanted to have that consistency around it and all those things. So we thought to level it up and like think of it as a UI stack, which where we control uh, how does the behavior function, how does a designer should look at it, how does a developer should look at it, and create a common language around it, right?
Right.
This was this whole idea that I basically talked about in the first part, and how did we and the process where we were talking about automating the system in terms of for the designers as well as the engineers, right?
Yeah.
So what the idea was to have a design system where the designers now could be able to pull out the basics of the elements, like the atomic level elements has to be this, but on top of it you do like how you can use these components and make a page layout out of it, right?
Right.
So this was the whole idea that these people, like our people in the design team, should think more on the user experience, and rest of it we have already automated it. So none of them needs to go to a component and think of ki, okay, this is how the form should be, this is the pixel size and all those things. This is all automated, and every time anyone is using a form will be the same,
Right.
right? So that was the first stage. But before that, since this was the right time, we were also looking for a new UI language. We thought that let's just get it started and think of it as a whole UI revamp altogether. And we build a system after that. Like once we have that language, and we build the whole system around that language, right? So the first thought was to basically look at the companies, like how do you want to be, like what are the different things, right? This is more of a mood boarding exercise, where this whole, like our whole team sat down, and like it's just copy pasting stuff, like how do we envision those things. And I wrote about the design cycle of how, what are the critical pages, what are the, like, what do you call, like the decision making pages and stuff like that, where is where exactly the page layouts should look equally, like, and and ideally we were also looking for interface elements, in the sense that at least these basic things should be right. And in the QA cycle, we don't have to go and think about, okay, if the button is right or not, if the radio buttons are right or not, like the basic elements should be there, right? So
That's great,
that's
bro.
what.
Like the project is really, really deep, and anyone who wants to read can check it up on Medium, right?
Yeah, 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 of course.
Yeah.